What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to episode 9 of The Magicians. We're talking about lesser evils, and it's a musical number? What? Oh, stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Don't make me sing.
Yes, you have to sing.
Another day, another destiny.
We'll just all sit and enjoy this for a little bit again, you know? Right? Oh my goodness.
These men who seem to know my crime will surely come a second time one day more.
I did not live until today.
So perfect. I couldn't have picked a better song for this
Oh, it's so
episode.
good. What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the Magicians After Show. We are talking about episode 9, Lesser Evils. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's Karidlane. If you are watching this live, feel free to join us in the chat. And if you're watching this later, feel free to comment down below because we want to know what you thought of this episode.
Yeah, we do.
And then going down the table.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
My name is Ty Matthews. Y'all can find me on social media at Ty Matthews PMA.
Hi, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. And that's MSADRIANSNOW.
So even though this was a full musical number, how much do we all love that it was a musical episode?
I mean, right. Scratch that. Reverse it. This was very much a musical number. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It was. I can't decide if I like this or Shake It Off more.
Right.
Because the Shake It Off number holds a very special place in my heart.
Yes.
I don't know, but this one, oh man, this one got me for sure.
Yes.
This one had a costume change, so I think it's an automatic win for me. When she came out in the blue dress, I was like, I'm done. This is the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I loved it. I mean, I think it's nice when productions understand that their talent actually has other talents. And so even getting like someone like Jason Ralph to do a song or getting Hale Appleman to do a song, it's because they know that they can do it. So I appreciate that.
And I think
love
one thing that I thought about when I was listening to this is it made me realize, because I was thinking about, you know, the show versus the books and things like that, and I think there's an element, like, I don't want to say campiness, but there's almost a little element of campiness to the show that I think really makes it work, and it makes it so much fun to watch.
It works as a TV show. I think if you read it, you would sit there going like, but as a show,
Exactly,
you're like
you couldn't
love it.
You couldn't write, King Elliot performing One Day More to rouse his troops into battle.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what I really like about the show, is because it didn't feel campy to me. It just felt like Margot Wahlberg did her research. She knows Elliot well enough to know what he's capable of and what he needs in that moment. And she's able to provide it, and it's felt for him. And it's just so wonderful and uplifting, and it provided a really nice break between all of this drama within the episode. And it's been so dark for so long. This episode is like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Yes. So we start off though with Quentin in the cell, and at least they all know now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thank goodness. So we have the I didn't write down her name. Who's the we have a teacher and the dean. And
I
Dean
just
Fall.
call her the Blue Fairy because she's almost
I know,
I the Blue
I
Fairy.
can never remember
Yeah.
the feeling.
I
God
can
damn
look it
it.
up. One second.
And we also get this random insert of comedic relief of the lycanthropy guy.
Yeah.
Oh, this,
Yes.
the poor half-werewolf
It's like an
boy.
STD.
Refuse to be shamed.
I love that line for
Sir.
sure.
I'm not gonna find
It
it.
was so random. It's like, okay. But it was nice to see more of the world of like other random magical
Well,
parts.
and that, but between that and the fairies, which we'll get to, I think that was it painted a more kind of broad picture of this universe and of the fact that it's not just this specific type of magic. This episode reminded me a lot of the later seasons of True Blood in a lot of different
Yeah,
ways.
they blew out the world.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so it's interesting to see how it's kind of exploded in this sort of macro view of how magic exists in this world.
And then we have more of the horrible bad brownouts, which is just like,
Yeah, right.
Danger,
Always at the
danger.
worst time.
yes.
Yep.
Always
And
at the worst time.
We talked about it a little bit last episode, like what do we call it when we kill the trees? So they're like, why don't we change the word? We should say arborcide.
Yeah.
I was right.
Not tree genocide.
Not tree genocide. No, no.
Nice arbicide.
Arbicide. It's good work.
That line, I will say that line from Julia, like, or that exchange between Katie and Julia, like they have talking trees here. They did, or they don't now. Like that's
Just does
such
not
a
care.
remorseless, like badass.
Yes.
line.
But this is also the first time that we really get to see how the brownouts and Fillory affect break bills and other
Yes,
areas of
that
the-
was very
of the
nice.
Right.
world. So that was good to see, or universe, I guess.
Yeah, someone in the chat, Dragon Artist Tom, points out the werewolf was the same student that we met in the Netherlands last season.
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was him, but
He looked super familiar.
But did they really go like, "Hey, nice to see you"? They didn't. I didn't feel like they were like, "Hey, nice to see you again."
No, because he abandoned them. But they had already seen him earlier in the season when they
Right.
went
Okay.
back to...
And this continues his
That thing is
storyline
the
of,
physical kids. Yes.
Yeah.
of trying to catch up with the life that he missed, and he's
Yeah.
like, I have to fuck my way through this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the decision to like, okay, wait, we can't go to war. We don't have enough people, but we can do 1-to-1 combat. And Tick Pickwick is like, well, we wouldn't have suggested this because you're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
Right. High stakes. But of course, Elliot, like, the stakes being that he could be the all-time greatest leader in Felorian history.
Popular.
Of course,
He
that's enough
stopped
to draw him
listening
into it.
immediately. It was like the greatest ever.
What?
I'll
Okay,
take it.
well then that's clearly the path we
Yes.
take.
Right. Well, it's like Margot said, like, thank God there aren't polls in Hillary because
Yeah.
their approval rating would be...
Yes.
37%.
Yes, exactly.
It would be in the wellspring.
The mentioning of Julia earlier, so Helena in the chat says #Savage Julia.
Absolutely.
Right?
100%.
Oh my goodness. And then we have he points out too, no king has ever volunteered to do hand-to-hand combat. So, Elliot like,
He's like, well, I'll take it.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll
do
have
it.
my
I'll break new
statue
ground.
That
in
ego,
the
can we
center.
inflate it some more?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, he married the right woman
Yes.
for combat.
Right.
And we learn more about marriage in Fillory too, which
Oh, we
we'll
sure
get
do.
to. Then we have Katie and Penny, and then they go to Julia and break her out of prison, which she's like, is this a breakout? And
The whole scene felt really strange to me. Like, I don't understand what Penny is doing here. Like, I get that he's with Katie and he'll pretty much
I've been
do
seeing
whatever,
Right.
whatever she'll do, he's gonna do. But at the same time, I'm like, I understand. I just feel like Penny would put up way more of a fight and be like, why are we breaking this chick out? Like, I feel like he would be more reluctant to do all of these things.
I
Right.
thought he'd be more skeptical for too, like, I don't trust her, which he kind of expresses a little bit
Well, you only
too.
get a
Later,
little
much later.
Yeah.
fraction of it, and I really
Not
think before
enough.
they initially take her out, he'd be like, are we 100% sure this is the only way to go about this?
Yes.
Right.
But
Then,
I also, sorry,
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah.
to
No, go
jump
for
off
it.
that, I don't think he's seen, because he didn't see all the things she was doing in Fillory, he doesn't see, like, how bad it is. So that's one point.
Probable.
But they also have been incredibly underusing Penny. And I was talking about how, like,
Yes.
he's kind of like the girl in most TV shows that is just kind of there to play support move, which I kind of appreciate, but I'm also kind of like, but I really like Penny, and don't do this to Penny.
I
Right.
love Penny, and it wouldn't bother me if his character hasn't always been so outspoken.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird to me that this is where he's silent.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Right.
kind of a
Right?
huge deal.
Yes.
And he, even if he hasn't been around to see how Julia's been reacting, he understands, like, what a lack of shade does to a person, and I just feel like he should have said something a lot sooner.
Yeah, I agree with that.
we all agree. Yep. Then we learn who the son is, John Gaines, who's
Yes.
a senator.
Christopher
White
Gorham
Obama.
from Popular, still looking good.
He looks
20
very
years
handsome.
later, still have a crush on him. I'm 30 years old.
I like that they cast the
Aside.
white Obama, essentially, in this
Yeah.
role. Like the golden child senator out of nowhere with
Yes.
big ears and the nice haircut.
It's the palette swapped Obama.
It
Exactly.
truly is.
Someone
and it was
held
amazing.
select while selecting Obama.
Well, I like that they're like, no, the magic's coming off of him, and that makes sense of a senator. Y'all like him, you want to follow him, and yes, he's a very handsome man. Of like, yes, okay, sure, we'll
Like when
listen to
Katie
you.
was like, Annie's hot, and Penny's like, what?
Yeah.
I like Penny. She's dating you, but she has not lost her eyesight.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's not
Nice
blind.
vibe, yeah.
That white shirt was fitting quite nicely.
Yes.
And so were those pants.
Yes.
Okay,
Adrian.
just putting it out there. Sorry, I met him once and I totally geeked out, and I felt really uncomfortable because his wife was right there, and I was like, I'm a horrible human being.
Funny comment and a little bit rewind. Renji goes, the council should never inflate Elliot's ego. Yes.
That's
too.
That's how rash decisions are made.
I feel bad for the council dealing with both
They're doing
Elliot
their best.
and Margot,
Yeah.
like reporting to both of them.
And the sloth.
Because neither one
Yes.
listens. Like they're so selective in their hearing that I would be really frustrated if I was on the council. I'd be like, okay, now before I finish telling you this, like you need to hear everything I'm gonna say because y'all hear about halfway through, then you make half-cocked decisions, and then stuff goes down. It's never good. I'd be
Right.
frustrated if I was on that council.
Sure.
Then we got Alice, and do you agree with her statement that not all Niffins are the same?
No.
No.
Yes.
I want to be the optimist. Yeah. I'm like, maybe. I'm going to give an opportunity to it.
I think just like every person, you know, even evil people have different desires for what
Yes.
they want to do to get to their point. That doesn't mean she won't kill people if they get in her way. But I think that her
There
drive,
might be that.
yeah. But I think her drive would be. It's just like Julia without shade versus Martin without shade. You know, they might kill people if they're in their way, but Julia just is on this mission. Martin just wanted to destroy everything.
That's not true. Martin has a really specific mission initially, and then he had all the power. And what do you do when you've completed your mission and all you have is power, and still no one respects you or loves you in the way that you were initially seeking? And I feel the same way with Julia. Like, she's on a mission now, but once that's accomplished, I think that she doesn't care about anything anymore.
I feel like the absolute power quote comes up every single week this week, but it's always applicable.
Like Niffins don't have a problem of love or needing to be adorned in any type of way. They're pure magic.
Yeah, it'll be. I agree that Niffins are different in their power scale.
Yeah,
but I don't know if they're different in their
intentions,
or even in their, like, I feel like they're uncontrolled chaos. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And in that sense, they're all the same. In that they don't see, like, I feel like right now she's like, yeah, I'm going after the magic, but at any moment she just explode on anyone.
She gets
Sure.
Do you think they're influenced by the people that they were before they became Niffins?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would appear so with Alice, because her main drive is still like, I want to create beautiful magic, and that seems to have been from childhood. I mean, the first thing we see her create is this beautiful horse out of magic. So
because we saw with her brother in season 1, he pretty much became pure evil.
Yeah.
And we knew that he wasn't, that he wasn't like that.
It's always that way.
Yes. And what about the priest too? Dragon Artist, bringing that one back too, says Alice and the Friar seem like obvious evidence that not all Niffins are the same.
The Friar was
not
kind
all
of
Niffins.
Cruel and mean.
Yeah,
though.
so I think
He did set
there's
some
variants.
birds on fire.
Those
rather
birds.
casually.
Come on.
Yes.
Rather casually.
Then we have Elliot and Margot, and she's very worried for him. And King Idri has fought many duels and always won. So she's like, "This is."
Wait, are you about to get into the musical part? Because
Not yet.
Okay, are you talking about? Okay.
Just when he's like, "I'm worried to do this," and Margot's like, "This is very dangerous because this guy has won multiple
He's won
battles."
14. He's won 14 duels.
Good. I wrote that down. I'm like,
Yes.
I think it was 14.
Yeah.
And it's just like your odds are kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then we get Fen, who shows up, and she's like, "Surprise! I have a special sword with a special spell for kings."
Because kings are lazy.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
No, she says it so well. She's like preoccupied.
There you go.
She's a diplomat.
Yeah.
She's raised to be a queen. I love her.
No, but she's great too. A family first, and you are my family. So
Exactly.
go Fen. Loving her. Then we jump back to Senator Gaines with Julia, Katie, and Penny breaking into his office, doing all these tricks. Magic is real.
Once
Believe me now.
again, I'm totally confused as to several people's motives in this scene.
Yeah.
Like, one, why do you want to expose him to magic? Like, why is your desire to bring him closer to the god that could make him evil, or like, well, you have no idea what this god's capable of. It seems very strange to me that is your goal, except for Julia, who's obviously she wants to draw him out. Reynard, so that she can kill him.
I think their intention with showing him magic was to be like, this is happening, this is real, now we need to teach you how to do it, now we can use you as a weapon against Reynard. It's not the most thought out, but they're also not thinking most clearly either.
And also, I think part of it is just pure intimidation tactics as well.
But
like,
why? I don't understand what the point of intimidating him is.
to
get him to do what you want.
To come over, yeah. Like, they know that through him is the only way that they can banish Renard, so they need to get him by any means possible. And they know that just rocking up to his office and saying, hey, come with us, just cause, like, isn't going to convince the guy.
It's pretty, it's a bit rushed, that storyline.
I still feel like, my biggest concern is, like, if, like, I just don't know why you think this guy would necessarily want to kill his birth father. Like, yes, he's evil and he's good, and Penny read his mind. It was like he believes everything he's saying, so we know that he's, I guess, pure of heart, but just anything could happen, and I just feel like going off half-cocked is just crazy, but that's what makes the show fun, so I'm not going to harp on it
you saw that Julia's plan was just to straight up use him.
Yeah, like, we can kill him.
Ready to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
we are not killing a U.S. senator.
She called him, he's just a skin sack.
Yeah, you
and
know.
I was like, she's ready to kill him. I'm like, ooh, that shade is gone. That she's like, I
she's
don't
not
care.
thinking about it.
Now it's a different kind of shade.
Yes.
I did like that. It was that weird moment of him just shooting out that power. It's like his eyes.
No, it made sense. It's a defensive of like he got overwhelmed and it wasn't
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just like it was a reactionary rather than a planned event.
Right, you got to think, he hasn't really been, there haven't really been any assassination attempts on him up to this
probably
point,
not.
so it hadn't really been tapped into.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, though. It also made me think, like, well, if that happened, it must be like a life or death situation, because if he ever got angry in any part of his life in the past, would that be the thing that happened, or is it only because of this particular situation?
Right,
I'm gonna go
that's
with
what
life
I'm
and
thinking.
Yeah.
Then we have back to Margot. So this episode definitely jumped back and forth. So guys, we're kind of just going chronologically until it has a moment where it seems we shouldn't go otherwise. Margot talking to the sloth was so fun. Of like, we need to petition the fairies. Oh, that was so fun.
Her sluggishness at one, who she was referred to at one point, is my absolute favorite nickname.
Yes.
But fairies have a steep price, but they will fix a wellspring.
Once again, Margot, you understand magic. You understand, like, word is bond. We've had a whole episode on that. You understand, like, that words are tricky. And and I understand, like, the desperation that she's in. Like, you have to fix the wellspring. Elliot could die, and she is definitely not going to let that happen a second time. But I really wish she had just let the advisors finish. Like, she's been so well researched throughout this entire, like, season, really. Margot's been, like, a very research-heavy character where she's like, let's, like, you know, let's see how other wars were won and compare and contrast. And it seems strange to me that she would go, and again, I know she's in a hurry and she has a lot to do, but to go into negotiations with, like, very notably nefarious creatures, it's just so foolish.
No agreement, no deal in this universe is, like, not some element of Faustian. Everything's this friggin' monkey's paw situation.
Fairies are across the board of all storytelling not trustworthy.
Right.
Even Tinkerbell has ulterior motives when it comes to Peter Pan. Okay?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Tolt, I want to say it's Tolt, in the chat said, why did the fairy's ability to fix a wellspring just come up now?
Well, they even
Which
say
Margot
in there,
brings up. She's like, why did you tell me just now?
Right.
Why? Because we don't make deals with fairies because we're not stupid.
Presumably because the council knows that their terms are so steep.
Yeah. And then Ichiban says, why didn't anyone tell the senator that Renard is a rapist and a serial killing, people eating monster?
They might
I feel like you don't want to lead with that. Like,
we might have missed that,
So here's your dad. Right. He's not only a god, but
he's a provided semen for you. That's it.
Did some stuff. I don't know if you know.
Some stuff.
Yeah, he raped this girl, and she had to abort her baby, and now we need you to kill him. Like, I feel like just a lot of information to dump on a guy who's still processing the fact that magic exists in the first place.
Exactly. That's number one. Yeah.
Then we have Penny commenting how Julia is a psychopath, and not her, and she's not her anymore.
I mean, he's correct. She is a psychopath.
She's
not
her.
No empathy.
But it's nice to hear it out loud.
Right. And it made me surprised at this point and for the rest of this episode how much kind of Katie was on her side. Like, Katie knows that losing your shade is losing your humanity, and yet she keeps fighting for her.
I can't blame Katie at all. Helping a friend post-tragedy like that, you're willing to forgive and overlook a ton just because your main goal is like, let's get you better. And if what you need to do is kill your attacker, like, I want that MF dead too, so let's just go do that real quick, and then you'll be back to me, then that will heal you or something. And I was totally with Katie on being like, I just want you to be better, and I don't want to deal with this negative aspect of you. This is just because you're hurting currently.
But this isn't just like someone being kind of shitty. This is someone literally losing the ability to be a moral human. Like straight up, like, not even figuratively. Like, they are 100% out for themselves and will sacrifice other people. And this is why I wanted Penny to
have a stronger voice, because again, I understand, like, Katie being like, I don't see that part right now.
Sure.
Right now, I'm just helping a friend. But Penny, from the outside looking in, should have been the loudest, most no, like, I don't want to help you with this. Like, and it's time they had like a legitimate fight where they actually used their words, instead of like just storming away from each other. I think that would have been a nice. I think this would have been a nice point to have them have differences.
Do you think Katie has survivor guilt for Julia in terms of like, well, you saved her, she saved her from Menard, so
that's got to play into it for sure. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Then, kind of jumping a little bit ahead, but a good question I don't want to forget. Elliot in the chat says, I think Julia somewhat understands what Katie tells her at the end. It looks like she's comprehending it. Do you guys think at the very end, does Julia understand when Katie's like, you're not you anymore, you're a bitch, you have no feeling?
Knows that she's not her. I think
but
now
does
it's just like,
bother her?
I think it definitely hit home when she was like, you fed Quinn to Reynard.
Right.
And I think those specific words of like, you fed Quinn to Reynard struck a chord with her, but I honestly think that she now lacks the ability to feel.
Yes.
And so I think she has the knowledge of it, but she can't reconcile her feelings with that. It's like, yeah, but he's fine. She's like, that's luck. Okay, right, but he's fine. So why is this even a conversation of topic? Like, I don't understand.
Right. It's means versus ends. It's yeah, he's fine now, but it's like, okay, but what if he wasn't, you know?
Yep.
But I think you're right. I think that definitely it hit some part of her, even if she doesn't realize it yet. But who knows?
Yep. Now we're getting close to the singing. We have Elliot doing his training, and he comments like, "No, I'm scared about this." And Margot, to make him feel better, is like, "We're gonna sing."
Just move that ass, Beyonce does.
Yes.
And she's a superstar. And I was like, well, anytime we bring Beyonce in, I'm about it. I'm for it, 100%.
I do love how musical numbers are justified in the show.
Oh, it totally made sense in this.
They set it up like kind of perfectly.
And I love the idea of like, this is just helping you. If you sing out loud, then you're less afraid, which is a legitimately true thing, guys. You will at first feel silly, and then you'll feel very empowered, and then you will take over the world.
Right.
And
Doing the Superman / Wonder Woman pose.
Yes. Yes.
Doing your power pose.
You know, do that, pull that Jack Daniels, get your leg up on the rock, like, get ready for
Captain
it.
Morgan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
There you
don't
go.
know liquor.
Wrong album.
You got it.
I was
Just do that in life sometimes.
Well, they
Get
talk
out the
about that,
shower.
like your hero pose.
It's really comfortable.
You know, there's even yoga hero poses thing of like you feel confident and build that up.
Yeah, warrior pose will help you a lot with that. Arms
And
up.
so it made sense and it wasn't weird, and they can have magic of like, here, I'm gonna make instruments sing.
When he said it, it's the whole cast, I thought she was going to do something with like him where she made multiples. I loved that.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I loved that it was the whole castle got involved.
Or even like, I loved her line, sorry, I had to skip some of the verses because they didn't apply. I was like, yes. So it's such a great aspect of the show to be aware and like
that's
apply it.
self-awareness.
We can't sing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ty and I were watching this together, and I was saying it's so rare for like my super like magical nerdy side to come together with my super musical side.
Yes.
Like you'll have musicals with magic in them, but it's not quite the same as like full on just regular witches singing songs. So I was like, this gets me. So I love this show.
Oh, now, to be semi-critical, what did we all think of their singing abilities? Because some people, whenever a musical number comes on, people can be kind of...
I thought
I
that
dug it.
whoever was their musical director did a really good job of understanding the voices he was working with.
Yes.
Because it didn't seem like... It wasn't like I was watching La La Land and I felt like some people need to go back and get a few more lessons.
No Tina Shade.
They were supposed to sound like amateurs, damn it. Anyway, this is my biggest point with La La Land, but I won't get into it here.
So with the
she
magician...
brings the
Joelle
tea to
side.
her lips. But what I do like about this is clearly they were not in the same octaves as the original like Broadway cast.
Exactly.
And they were able to tone it down, but it never felt like... It felt like they made them work for some of their notes. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when it's so watered down where you're like... Okay, this is, you might as well have just not put the
Just
song in
auto-tune it
anyway.
at that
I thought
point.
some of them were amazing and a couple of them were just okay.
Yeah, but the ones that were okay were given parts adequate for their
Yes.
okayness.
It would still be an adequate high school musical.
Yes.
And there were certain people that were just
Even
like
college.
so
Yeah.
like, stood out that you're just like happy to see them sing. And it's fun to see people that
Exactly.
you didn't expect to see sing.
Yeah.
Well, and then to see that the musical number is choreographed so well.
Yeah.
Like, there's not dancing, but camera-wise, like how
Yes.
they posed
Oh, God,
and how they
yes.
made
Cut
it feel.
it, yes.
They made it feel big and sweeping like a Broadway production without making it feel silly or ridiculous like
Exactly.
Lame is the movie.
Yeah.
Which is shot
shade,
terribly.
but yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. She went through
Dude,
that whole movie.
with Russell Crowe walking along the... Never mind. Okay,
We didn't talk about Russell Crowe.
Crowe.
Talk about the part where he sings in the church and the camera's just like this, in and out. Like, this is definitely
the
how you shoot a
branch
musical.
walking.
Okay, back to magicians. Can we talk about like Margot's second
I don't care
outfit, that
about
blue
this.
outfit?
The costume
Damn.
change.
Loved her outfit. And actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, but go Margot, when she's walking out to the battlefield, a gust of wind blows her skirt thing up and you see like her nice little panty briefs on and goes back down like, well, go her. That she was like, she didn't flinch at all, just kept walking.
I feel like Margot would be very
Oh God,
But I'm
yeah.
sure the
it's so
actress
good.
was like, oh God. But I'm
Yeah.
sure Margot was like, yeah, I'm hot.
I
Whatever.
know.
Right.
I
She
don't care.
looks so good. I loved it. Costumes are great. Everything about it was just so fun, and it was a refreshing change, how we're all saying, of like, it's been heavy. So it was like, Wait, musical number?
And then
You know
of course, that moment, like when everything ends and you just hear the breathing.
I was gonna say the most impressive thing to me is like getting out of a musical number can be really challenging. Like that's why a lot of times they cut to black in the end and then you can just restart coming back. I love that here they just turned it to the other people like, I thought the battle was today.
God, that was such a good line.
Metaphor of like, wow.
That was such a good line.
It was a perfect ending for that number. Like, yes, it was silly. Yes, it was fun, and we can acknowledge that. But it was also helpful, like, and advances the plot.
Exactly.
And it like it doesn't really give us a lot of character development, but it kind of highlights these things that you need to remember that maybe they don't have a lot of time to focus on. For example, Finn feeling like an outsider in her marriage, because we've gotten a lot of these reactions where it's clear Finn like loves Elliot, like just
she does,
and it's easy to forget that she's really an outsider in her marriage. And I
Margo,
love that they gave her that moment where she's alone in the castle, just singing to nothing, but still so desperately trying to be connected to Elliot. Is wonderful.
Her singing, I think, was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I liked her voice. Her sounded so good.
You could tell who was classically trained. I was like, I think Margo and Finn are classically trained. I can hear it. Their melodies
And then,
are
of course, Princess, having gone to boarding school on Earth, knows exactly what show it's from.
I know that one.
Yeah.
It's like you have? Yeah. Then we get the duel, and he runs off into the woods. Quote unquote.
I
Air
love
quotes
just
there.
the silent, like everything is silent, and you just hear
like-
the footsteps of him running away.
Oh, that's a golf clap right
Can
there.
he do
Like,
that?
into the woods. Can we do that? Yeah. No, you just got to stay alive. Oh,
He's a king. He can do whatever he wants. I was like, are you kidding me?
But you know what? In a way, that sets up later how they wrap it all up. That that's a good point. Then we get Quentin and Julia as a brief moment. So we almost have the Alice and Julia standoff. Because Julia's like,
Kind of,
you're not Quentin.
Although they were almost working together, and that was twice as exciting because both women seem to have lost a lot of their previously held morals.
Yeah.
You know, they're a lot looser now in what they're willing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought for a second Julia's like, oh, I can use this girl. I'll free her now. And obviously she tries to later, but I almost wanted them to just be...
Do it now.
I wanted them to be best evil bitches.
Yes.
I was
There you
really
go.
excited about it.
And then, of course, Jason Ralph, like, channeling a perfect Olivia Taylor-Dudley
was
whenever
good.
whenever Alice takes over.
Good.
Yes.
He was so good. I wonder if she's like laughing at him, like, oh my
Probably.
gosh,
She's probably
Yeah.
standing right there.
Well, we all
like,
kind of talked about
quietly
that.
laughing.
Like, when you have to play another actor, like, how much do you mimic them? And we were like,
Right.
oh, we all want to see that, though. And he did a great job.
Exactly, and her voice isn't really something that would be easily like, oh, I'm going to do an impression of Alice. Like,
You know what, though? I met someone recently, I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to Alice because how they talk and they're blonde.
really?
Yes, I'll have to show you guys a picture. It was one of those, like, I feel like I'm talking to
I
Alice.
like that he was mostly
like,
doing
even the
cadence.
speech pattern.
Yeah,
It is.
He was mostly matching her cadence and then the physicality that she had before
Yeah,
she
she
became
kinda
the Alice we know
keeps her
now,
head
which
down.
is that head down, hands kind of here around her chest.
Yeah.
And it was really great.
Renji in the chat says, hashtag kings making up their own rules.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Then we have Renard just outside of Brakebills because thank God we got wards up. And his psychic link to his son, which was kind of creepy. And thank goodness they have security in place after the beast. You're like, good. You guys learned your lesson.
Yeah, the alarm system tornado thing was really working for me. I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
I like that they have a backup plan, and I like that they address the fact, like, okay, the beast got in.
Yeah.
That cannot happen again.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Generator,
Fix this
man.
issue.
And
all
it was
the way.
that same, if I'm not mistaken, was that the same room? Even
Yeah. It
that
was.
the
I
Beast
They
think
put
so.
the heavier awards on that
Yeah.
room.
Right.
It's smart.
Welcome, Sniper.
Then with Elliot back to the fight, they kind of have that water mirror thing so you can watch the fight, which was kind of cool so they can be up to date. But of course, Margot has her sassy line like, I don't want to make you cry. And even though it's kind of going poorly. But Margot has to go back because the fairy ambassador has arrived and because they kind of had actually not just a brownout, but a blackout.
Yeah.
And-
oh, man.
And they won't wait. They will not. They want to talk right now.
Right now. And then also that blackout was a great transition because Brakebills has a brownout. So that was
Yeah.
really cool to finally see that bridge
How it
because we've
affects
all
each
talked
other.
about.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that when magic goes out in Fillory, like that's magic everywhere.
Yes, it's bad.
Like that's the whole
Yep.
the whole point of everything.
Yep. Then we get the fairy ambassador, who's really funny. If you guys watch Salem, he plays a fallen angel. He's an angel,
Okay.
essentially, demon. He's Satan's right hand man, essentially. So I was like, that's the dude from Salem, which
Awesome.
he's great. He's so good on Salem, and I thought he was fun in this too because he's just a little different looking, which you're like, yeah, you're not quite a normal human.
I love so many different people popping up from different shows in
Yes,
this episode.
good job, guys. Love it. But of course, what do fairies want? They want a child. Always.
I got all the labyrinth feels from this.
Right.
It's such a
Absolutely.
common thing, though, that you're like, damn it.
Give me that baby.
Rest in peace, David Bowie.
Was it okay? Look,
Yeah.
I understand Margot has to make some decisions.
Yeah.
I get that she is queen. It made me almost livid. I was like, she is right there. Like, have the conversation. Like, have the adult conversation.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
Respect.
bad.
Finn is smart.
Yes.
She understands like her role here, and she says she's willing to sacrifice anything for family. You could have
Just
easily
tell her.
had that
Yes.
conversation.
I was really surprised
Amen.
at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Margot effed up because she just simply did not let the man. She gave the man no respect. Like that was. They could have negotiated
So
more.
rude.
But
That's
again,
what blew my
not
mind.
going in knowing the rules, which
Yeah.
is so different from what we've been seeing Margot do. And they did
Yeah.
a pretty good job of like helping us understand the time restraint she was under, so
Yeah.
they could to justify this moment. But I still felt like it was just a little bit less than what
Rushed.
we've seen from Margot.
Like, yeah, I mean, at that point, Elliot has shimmied up a tree, and he's like chilling on the tree. That's gonna take a minute to chop down anyway.
Yeah.
She could have had a little bit more time to just
Yes.
hear him out and see if there was an alternative to having the firstborn child. But
But I
That
don't
is-
think she didn't know that he was up in that tree, did she?
No,
not
but
at that
still.
point.
but she
Margot,
says that he's probably, if he's not
Penny-
dead yet, he'll be dead soon. So
Actually-
I get it.
yeah,
I think Margot and Penny are the two that just in general can be kind of assholes that you're like, shut up.
Well, and I think-
listen to people and stop being so rude as your immediate reaction. Even if that is an honest and real reaction and justifiable,
And I think,
you
yeah.
can't do that with everybody.
yeah.
Right. I think to that
just
point,
can't.
we've gotten really good examples of showing them consequences
Yes.
to that between Penny and losing his ability to do magic,
Yeah.
and now this. It's
Yes.
no matter how many consequences they've faced, they've never come up against a situation where it's like, all right, you're going to be an asshole. Now this is happening.
I think this season is a lot about the characters facing repercussions for their previous actions, like however they behaved in season 1.
Yeah.
And that they were able to essentially like
Get away with.
it.
Yeah.
Now they can't get away
Nope.
with it. Like even with Julia, when you think about how she was at the beginning of season 1, and how she was very much have emotional person. Like I need this magic. I need the magic. I'm blah, 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 blah. And now she has no emotions, and now all she thinks about is magic. So she's in a sense kind of got what she wanted, and so it's kind of like, well, what are the consequences of that? And
Yep.
consequences of magic.
No, totally.
What you wish for.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Katie and the senator, back to them when she's just trying to convince him, and then points out a good point of, have you failed at anything? I like that moment. Of
Yeah.
like just a little
I
blur, but
loved this moment
good
because if
point.
you've ever met one of these people who is just continued, like just has all of the luck and success and like joys of the world, and you try to point it out to them, being like, okay, but you understand, like
It's-
you've literally, no, I worked really hard.
It's like
Yeah,
it's his magical white privilege.
Exactly. I was like, that is a direct call of white privilege, right there. White male
Yeah.
privilege.
I did it all myself. Did it all myself
Essentially.
this whole time.
Why did it take a whole
did?
year to get a bill pass? But have you ever not had a bill pass?
But it's still passed, right?
It took a whole year.
Oh,
I'm like, do you know how many bills like fail and then they get rewritten and
Yep.
they're still failing? We've been trying to get universal health care in California for over a decade, just
Isn't it?
for the state.
School of Rock, I'm just a bill. Speaking of musical numbers, then we get Julia, Q, and Renard, which, oh my gosh, when he freezes them, I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Beast all over again.
And
I
he's like,
really wanted to see Alice come out and fight.
Right,
Not gonna lie.
exactly.
Yeah.
I knew Q wasn't going to do it. I
Yeah.
was like, he has made a very dedicated decision not to release her, and he's certainly not going to do it for this
Yeah.
prick. And at some point, did anyone else think that Q had a death wish? For a
a
minute?
little bit.
There were moments in the middle of this episode where I was like, oh,
ready
so
to
he just
die and free
resigned
her.
to die
Yeah.
Right.
with her. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, well, if she can't live without
Like
out
he has
here,
some type
yeah.
of guilt about the fact
Yes.
that she died.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, he feels guilty about the situation, like,
Yep.
all the way around. I was kind of shocked. I don't know. Like, I'm still kind of shocked that Julia pushed him out there. Like, I
yeah,
understand
no,
she's no
totally.
shade,
Yeah.
but that whole, I was like,
Yeah.
this was the moment where I'm like, I'm done with you, Julia.
Well, apparently some people are hating on Q. Ichiban says in the chat, and instead of freeing her, Alice, in the moment that could have saved all their lives, he waited until he could be a crybaby alone and in the middle of nowhere
is
to
true.
do it. I
mean,
hate him.
He ain't
is
he ain't
true.
wrong.
You are not wrong.
He ain't wrong.
And Elliot says Q ended up releasing Alice. Why not just do it there? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, hindsight in
He was
2020, of
afraid
course.
that Reynard might kill her too.
TLOT20 says Renard referred to Alice as a thing, not a niffin, and as a god, does he know what a niffin limits are? And being there, being supreme magic. So, do we know what they really would have? How much would they have been?
Like the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Just like the
Well, back to Julie and Katie, they point out like you don't feel they're
mutual
fighting
attraction
on the tree.
between each.
Yes.
It's like, oh, like if only I didn't have to kill you.
The actor Leonard Roberts, and how he has not aged.
He looks
as
gorgeous.
well, along with Christopher Gorham, in 20 years.
And I like that they have him playing an older guy too.
Yeah.
Like he can easily play the guy who's playing his son's brother. And
Exactly.
they're like,
Right.
nope, this is
I'm
his
like,
father.
he's his dad?
I'm like, yeah, he is 44. He could play this man's father, but he does not look like this man's father.
No.
Yeah,
He
when
looked
they started
very
hitting
good.
on each other, I was like, this is we're gonna get gay kings. Like, I'm here for it. I'm so here
we
for
did
this
talk
mutual
about that
respect
earlier.
and attraction.
I feel we've all been upset for a while. Like, whoa, Elliot, we're like, we thought we knew where you stood. And the show, we felt kind of disregarded his gayness. But they've brought it back.
Yeah.
So now, how do we feel about Finn keeping it a secret? Because this is definitely part of
his
Finn's
secret?
doing. Nobody told him that he could get, like, Finn knew his preference
Interesting.
the whole time. Like, she's known what his preference is.
Right.
She loves him, and she
Is it
definitely
Finn or
wanted
Fen?
I think it's
Fen.
Fen.
Fen. Okay, so
Sorry.
Fen.
Yeah.
So, like, and she has to already share
But
him with
nobody in
Margot.
the Royal Court said anything either.
Yeah, but the Royal
But I
Court
feel like
doesn't
it would
speak
be
out of
more
turn.
important. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a very, very good point.
Well, hopefully he's not
And,
upset about it later.
it did break my heart, the look on her face
Yeah.
when he's like announcing the whole thing.
Yeah, she's
when
like, what?
she's just crushed by
Yeah.
this.
This is just one
wait.
more person she has to share her husband with.
Right.
Yeah.
She wasn't of royal descent anyway, so could she maybe not?
No.
Okay.
No, she's
I don't
known
think so.
enough
No benefit
about.
of the doubt for
yeah.
it. Yeah, okay. But then they find out the Wellspring is going to be a 50 split, and we get the creepy fairies.
Jesus,
oh,
these things were
They
terrifying.
look
Yeah.
cool.
So cool. I like their hands. I like
Yes.
they sparkle. I like that they were different ethnicities, but they all looked similar still.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool touch. And I cannot wait to see their realm. I want to see where the fairies live.
Right.
Ichiban says, black doesn't crack. Referring
It's
to-
true.
Yeah.
Yes,
Black
it's
does
true.
not
Black don't crack.
Hearing
Yeah.
I wasn't
Carrie
gonna say
that.
I was
Hearing
like-
Carrie, black doesn't crack.
I was about to say, I'm glad someone else in the
hilarious.
chat
I
said
was
it
not.
too.
I was like, I could say it, but nah.
It's better to have someone else say it.
Exactly.
Then you're not tooting your own horn. Moment.
Yeah.
So you're like 12,
Someone
right?
was like,
No.
how old are you today, Adrian? Like 21? I was like, thank you.
And then we got also that Dragon Artist again says, Renji, I think it's how long do we think Q is going to be grieving over Alice?
Forever until she
Right?
comes back and is
Forever?
regular.
I mean, forever.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
that long.
Yes.
Not that long. I don't think it's going to be very long before
Yeah.
we see her again.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
been grieving for
Yes,
a
he
few
has.
months now.
I don't think he stops until Alice comes back.
Yeah.
Right.
He's always sad.
Right.
Yep.
And actually, with that moment too, Elliot says Fenn's mouth dropped though. Yes, when she finds out, like, wait, don't, no, stop. Yep. But yeah, Q frees Alice. She disappears. So final thoughts on now we have our threesome.
Well, and now
marriage.
Margot has this big ass secret that
Yes.
she's not super in a super rush to
Yes.
impart.
Here's the thing, like, it sucks to be Margot in this moment. Like,
Yes.
she made the only deal that was available to her, and then, and at least she knew she messed up. Like, at first I was like, that is so mean not to address her, but I also understand why she feels like this was the only option that she had. And now I just wish she had told Finn right away. Like, it was
Yes.
just a bit, like, 'cause I
Exactly.
feel like they have some time to try to at least come up with other options,
Yes.
or at least break the terrible news to her so she doesn't get too attached to this baby, like anything. And she don't do that, and now it's gonna be looming over her, and of course Elliot's gonna be pissed, and it's gonna cause a rift in their relationship.
Yeah. What's
I
up?
love
Question
them.
though.
Yes.
The wellspring needing to be fixed was probably the most paramount thing that Fillory needed. Is regardless of how Elliot did in the battle, this kind of had to happen anyways.
Yeah.
The question is, was there an alternative option that they could have bargained with the fairies? That's
think
something
so.
we don't know.
I think so.
That sucks if there is.
Yeah.
I don't think there would
But
have
if
been
there
time.
wasn't,
I think
Margot
that she felt there
isn't
wasn't enough
totally
time.
in the wrong.
But I think she could have, instead of being like, "Oh, fuck off," she could have had at least another 30 seconds.
To be fair, the fairies are super temperamental.
Yeah.
She didn't say no. She was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
That was it. All she was like is like, "I don't understand. That's my option. That's your starting bargain."
I know.
Yeah.
And so that's shocking.
I'm not disagreeing.
Well, it's just like Penny having to sign a deal where he serves for 1,000,000 years in life and death.
Or, you know,
stakes start high.
Cursing at the Riverman, and all of a sudden now he's like the Watcher.
Watch your tongue.
He was a total dick in that situation. I give Penny no passes.
Is Lauren King expected to be betting Fenn also?
Well, let's just go ahead and go into
predictions.
Super quick.
Do some quick predictions.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Quick style.
I think Margot will somehow figure out a way to justify that she gave up the baby, but it's going to be very upsetting. But it will be, we had to do it because if that's the only way, hopefully is the only way to fix the wellspring. They had to do it. But it sucks.
Yep.
And I think the husband and husband are going to be a thing. I don't think the extra husband has to be with Fenn.
No.
I think Alice is interested in more than creating beautiful magic. And I think she might be interested in trying to get her brother back. If she can figure out her and Effen's state, maybe she can go back and try to help him figure out his stuff. So I think that's what she'll be doing with Priest Guy.
Interesting. I think we'll see another sort of duel. Maybe not this exact type of duel, but another sort of battle over the baby.
Okay.
Very dual.
I think the baby's going to cause a rift between Margot and Elliot, but I also think that because Elliot's getting married to a man, that's going to cause a rift between him and Fenn.
Sure.
And so rather than be alone, he's going to have to choose someone's side. And so that'll be,
cool.
We'll see.
Well, thank you so much for watching this exciting episode. Magician just keeps getting better and better. Let everybody know where they can find you guys.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Y'all can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA, as well as on Monday nights for the Monday Night Raw after show.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. Find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com. Right now, if you head over to blackgirlnerds.com, check out my review for Power Rangers before you buy that ticket on Friday.
Awesome. And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. And also, if you guys check out Electro Threads, this is an awesome shirt from them. It's kind of a little chakra girl. If you put in the code KLane, you get 20% off. Check out their stuff on Instagram. Beautiful, colorful stuff. So if you like magicians and colorful things, it's a really good site. Thank you for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, 5 stars on iTunes. Make sure to subscribe as well so you can be up to date on all these awesome programs. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.